Veterans, got a question for you. Do you know if someone can represent you before the VA and not be accredited? Yes, you heard me, not be accredited. In today's video, I am going to answer that question and share some information that will support my answer. Let's go ahead and get into it. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, United States Army veteran, retired VA rating specialist, and your VA claim nugget man. Before I get into today's video, make sure you go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, and notification button to help this video reach other veterans that are looking for these VA claim nuggets. Today's video: can someone that is not accredited, I'm gonna say that again, not accredited, can that individual represent you before the VA? Answer is yes. Yes, they can. And I know you're thinking, Dwayne, you're lying. No, Dwayne, you're incorrect. I am going to prove it. But before I share that information on how this person can represent you and the regulations and citations that state that they can, I want to say something. There's a lot of information going out there about YouTube, on YouTube, people saying, oh, only work with somebody that's accredited. They only know the process. That's not true. I'm not accredited. I don't want to be accredited. I don't represent veterans before the VA. I only educate veterans on the VA compensation claims process. I don't submit any evidence for anyone, none of that stuff. I don't log into anyone's VA claim account, none of that. All my fees is a flat rate. I don't take anyone's back pay, none of that stuff, okay? But I will say this: you work with who you want to work with. I'm a firm believer in that. If you want to go out and pay someone, fine, that's your prerogative. If you want to have someone represent you like a VSO and it's free, fine, you go and do that. We live in America. You have a choice. That is my opinion. You put your best foot forward as it pertains to your VA compensation claim. All right, so I just want to get that out of the way. So let me show you how an individual that is not accredited can represent you. But people, if you decide to go this route, make sure you know what that person is doing, because I've come across people that are accredited that don't know what they're doing. And I've come across people that are not accredited that know this system inside and out. Let's get into it. Slide number one. Here in slide number one, this is the -1, and it's the claimant's rights to representation. The Department of Veterans Affairs policy is that all claimants have the right to representation before the department in claims affecting the payment of benefits or relief. This is under VBA, okay, Veteran Benefits Administration. The last paragraph down there: claimants may appoint a single representative for all claims, or they may choose to appoint a different representative on a limited basis for a particular claim, okay? So when you're filling out a 21-22 or 21-22 alpha, it doesn't mean they can blanket everything that you're doing. You can say, hey, I only want this person to represent me on my claim for PTSD, giving them limited power of attorney. VA employees call that POA, all right? Let's keep going. Slide number 2. Here in slide number 2, this is the definition of VA representation. VA representation means broadly that an individual has completed legal formalities to authorize a VSO, attorney, agent, or individual. Okay, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty, people. Individual. You hear a lot on YouTube about VSOs, attorneys, claims agents. You never hear anybody talk about individuals, but I'm going to talk about it today. To perform functions on their behalf in business before VA, okay? Note, for the purpose of this selection, the term power of attorney, POA, refers to VA representation. There's VSOs out there. They you tell them, oh, POA. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm a VSO. I didn't really start using the term VSO until after I retired. All right. When I was working for the VA as a rater, we all referred to VSOs, lawyers, as who's their POA, who's their POA, here, who are their POA, because on those forms it lists POA, all right, but it doesn't matter. It's POA, VA representative, whichever one you want to call it. They're the same, all right. Let's keep going. Slide number 3. Here in slide number 3, we're still in another M21-1. Requirements, okay? Requirements to represent claimants, okay? Table below describes the requirements for POA representatives to represent claimants. Now, this is so important, people, because if someone is not accredited and you want them to represent you, you need to be putting this information on your claims form, on your claims form, all right? Because more than likely, when it's an individual, you may have a VA employee that don't know that an individual can represent a veteran when they are not accredited. They can be like, oh, they're not accredited. I guarantee you, I know there is at least one VA employee that thinks everybody has to be accredited, all right? But when you understand and know these references in the manual, then you know, hey, that's not true. And they should see that, the number and the name that you give them of this reference, and they can go and look it up for themselves, okay? So it says type of representation. Then it says requirements. So you got the accredited representative of a VSO, claims agent, or attorney. And again, people, I just want to reiterate, a lot of people think the only people that know this stuff are accredited. Stop. Just stop. Stop telling that fib, okay? Requirements: must obtain a recognition from VA's Office of General Counsel. OGC is what they call it, okay? Now, look down at the bottom, people. Non-licensed individual, okay? We're getting a little bit deeper. May represent a claimant on a one-time, one-claim basis per the provisions under 38 CFR 14.630. All right, so on your prescribed claim form on the 5260Z, you might want to put this citation, this M21-1, and say something to the effect of, hey, this person is representing me under this particular 38 CFR, but there's another way that you can let the VA know as well, okay? The individual may only represent one VA claimant unless their request is submitted to VA's OGC, all right? So there it is, people. I just proved to you that a non-licensed individual, not accredited, can represent you on a one-time, one-claim basis. Okay, one-time, one-claim basis. That's it, people. Don't try and, get over on the system and, Dwayne, what about this? Dwayne, what? They're telling you the requirements right here, okay? Let's keep going. Next slide, slide number 4. Okay, this is the 38 CFR that we just saw in the M21-1. That's what I love about the M21-1, because when you find out what you're looking for, it'll give you some court cases, it'll give you some 38 CFRs, all right? So we're not gonna go through this entire 38 CFR, but look at the second paragraph, subpart B. Representation may be provided by an individual pursuant to this section. One time only, people. Cannot reiterate that enough. An exception to this limitation may be granted by the General Counsel in unusual circumstances. Among the factors which may be considered in determining whether an exception will be granted are, and you got 4 bullet comments right there, all right? But under the 4th one, whether there exists unique circumstances which would render alternative representative inadequate. So let's say you've worked with couple of VSOs in your area, and those are only, or maybe it's one VSO in your area, and come to find out that individual became accredited, recognized by OGC in the VA, but they don't know what they're doing. They do not know what they are doing. And you say, well, I don't have another VSO in my area, and there is someone that is in my area, and I would like to not only for them to represent me on this one claim, but if I need to do another claim or something different, I want to get permission to have them to do it, because the individual in my area that is accredited, they don't know what they're doing, okay? And then OGC, obviously, they're going to say yay or nay, okay? And it could be some other circumstances as well. May not have a VSO in your area or even close to you where you would need to go in or want to go in person, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 5. This is the top of the VA Form 21-22 Alpha. And the reason why I put this up, you always want to make sure you go to the VA's website to obtain any VA form. Look in the top right-hand corner, expiration date, July 31st, 2026. You want to make sure you get the most up-to-date, accurate form. Also, make sure you read these instructions. I'm going to say it again. Make sure you read these instructions. If there are any instructions or notes on any VA forms, you need to be reading them, people, so you understand exactly what they're talking about. Because if an issue comes up, you can always refer back to the instructions, okay? Last slide, promise. Slide number 6. This is 2 separate sections of the 21-22 Alpha, okay? Section 3, appointed representatives information, okay? Name of individual approved as representative, okay? Individual, appointed individual. Individual, 16, that's 16A. 16B, individual is check appropriate box. You have the attorney, you have the agent. Individual providing representation under section 14, okay? Don't have my glasses on, so help me out here. 14.630, I think I got that right, okay? Then it says, see acquired statement below. Signatures are required in items 17A and 18A, okay? Then it has service organization representative. So again, people, leave me a comment in the comment section and let me know if you ever seen or ever noticed this box as an individual providing representation on the 21-22 Alpha. Let me know if you ever saw it, paid attention to it. Okay, now the second one down below. Individuals providing representation under section 14.630. They have a note there, okay? An individual acting as a representative under 38 CFR 14.630 may not represent more than one claimant on a single claim unless an exception to that limitation has been granted by the Department of Veterans Affairs General Counsel, OGC, okay, Office of General Counsel. One time, people, one claim, that's what they're saying here, okay? Don't try to get over. And again, then they have the signature block there. So, answer your question. Can an individual that's not accredited represent you? Yes. I just showed you the 38 CFR and the M21-1 that states that they can. 2, should you just have anybody represent you that's not accredited? Might not be a good idea. You want to make sure individuals, they know what they are doing. And I've never used this option to represent somebody. Never. I don't know. Maybe down the road, I may do it because it's a one-time deal. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. All right. But make sure they know what they are doing. Also, just because someone has obtained accreditation from the VA, they took the test. Lawyers don't have to take the test. VSOs, claims agents, they took the test. That does not mean they know what they're doing. People on Facebook, YouTube, oh, get somebody that's accredited, get a lawyer. That don't mean they know what they're doing. Okay? Just because they're accredited don't mean they know what they're doing. You got some really good representatives out there. They're getting it done. And then you have some that don't know what they're doing. How do I know that? Because I came across a few as a rater, okay? But today's video, can you have one individual represent you? The answer is yes. You got the 38 CFR, you have the M21-1 that states that they can, all right? With that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and as always, share this video with your fellow veteran. Thank you.